thing is spinning.
Happy Friday, everybody. Um, Thanks again for tuning in. This time we're going to be working on Daredevil from the Netflix series. One of my favorite shows right now. As you can see, I'm fairly far along on this one. Unlike last time, I hope that I can finish this while we're live instead of kind of leaving a lot unfinished like the Green Arrow piece last time. So and also you might notice there's a little bit more color in here. I'll try to explain that. How I got to that and just kind of the look I'm going for as we go along. So if you guys can hear me and you're ready, go ahead and start adding questions or comments, and Katie's gonna read them to me and see what we can pass along. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna work on is mask here, and again I'm working all in grays. This is warm gray, 30%. I had already laid down a base of warm gray. I believe it's 10%. I did it a couple days ago, so I don't I don't actually remember. But now when I did the Green Arrow, one of the things I did, especially for the skin, is I used every marker from 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 90. Because of his leather, I'm actually going to skip some in between. In order to give it a shiny look, it's better to have more contrast in between the colors. And so that way, that's why I'm doing the 10%, the 30% instead of 10 to 20.
So last time I didn't start seeing questions until several minutes in. Okay, I see one now. How/when did you decide to start doing booths at conventions?
I think I actually talked about this last time, but
you did. Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting question. And I've actually talked about it a couple times when I've done a panel at Heroes and Villains. I was working for a company that was also doing conventions, and just walking around. I hadn't really been to conventions since I was in like middle school or maybe even early high school, and so I was not aware of the scene at all. And so it was basically a new experience for me, especially because I was kind of on the other side of the table, so to speak, where I kind of got a behind the scenes look at everything, and so I was just walking around at one of the conventions we were doing, and I came across the artist section, and it was kind of like, holy cow! I didn't really even know this existed. When I went to conventions in middle and high school, I remember going to see the artists, but they were all Marvel and DC artists that I was looking to get autographs from. And so I didn't really think about the fact that there were other artists there setting up and displaying art and selling prints and all that kind of stuff. Um, and so walking around that section was just this whole new experience, and so I think my first show was 2002. That's the first time I set up for myself. Um, it was at Chiller Theater in the Meadowlands. It was like in a hotel, um, and so it was definitely a learning experience. I wouldn't say it was a terrible show for me, but if you're familiar with Chiller Theater, it's very much geared towards horror fans, and that is really not my genre. I've done a
It gives
few.
him nightmares.
Yeah, yes, yes. It gives me nightmares, especially stuff about aliens. I'm terrified of aliens. Um, but anyway, so that was really the first time I set up at a show.
Anne wants to know how often you have to replace the markers.
Actually, that's a good question because after the last live drawing, I ordered all new markers. I'm still using the old ones here, but uh, some of the shades are starting to run out, especially the lighter colors where I have to use them to cover more area. Um, and so, like even this one, this is a little difficult. It's starting to run dry. Um, Again, another reason I switched to digital because these things are not cheap. So I know that they do make, especially Copic, um, probably some other brands make markers that are refillable. Um, as far as I know, these Prismacolor ones are not like that, or at least Prismacolor hasn't made one that's refillable yet. So, and I don't know if you can see from the camera angle here, but there's actually 2 points on this marker. There's like this fine tip, and then on the other end there's like a wedge um, that's gives you a couple different kinds of strokes, and so I like it because it's a little bit more versatile. Um, Again, I know that other markers have similar products. I'm very much a creature of habit, and so this is just what I've always used. This is kind of what I learned using, and so I've stuck with it.
Jeff wants to know how long something like this would take you start to finish.
Um, let's see. Well, this is a little bit different because I'm trying to add the color. I started adding the color this afternoon. I wanted to try it out. I actually had no idea how it was going to look. Um, so essentially, what I did was I laid in all the shades of the gray markers, just like I did on the Green Arrow one, and then I went in over it with colored pencil just to give it a little bit of a hue. It's still really desaturated, and the colors are really muted. Um, so I like that. I think it's a little bit more stylized. Um, but anyway, so that experimentation added some time to it. Um, It's hard to say. I really, I mean, in terms of getting the initial sketch done, um, that can really vary because that when you're trying to get the likeness down and everything like that, it can really um, take some time. So I think this one's going to end up taking probably close to 10 hours.
So we did the first one 2 weeks ago. You drew Green Arrow.
Correct.
And after we finished, I thought it went well. I had fun. And after we finished, I mentioned to you um, recording you drawing on your tablet.
Correct.
And now I'm just sitting here thinking people might be wondering why you're choosing to do this over that. And one of the things I mentioned last week is you work so tight when you're on the computer.
Yeah.
That people wouldn't even know what they're looking at.
That is a very good point. I work very large when I do digital. A good example is the alter ego pieces that I do. If you're familiar with those, the full body shot that's their civilian persona. I usually draw those between 2.5 to 3 feet tall on the computer. So, when I zoom in real tight and start working on facial features and eyes and all that kind of stuff, it's a little hard to tell what it is. The other reason I'm doing this and not that is right now my tablet is broken. So, and I don't know if you can see this, but this marker's on its last legs. It's really kind of fighting me here. That actually brings me to another point, and this paper is not the best for marker. This is a Bristol board with a vellum finish, and really what you want ideally is Bristol board with a smooth finish for markers. The vellum, the vellum has a texture to it, and it really soaks up the marker more than you want, which kills your markers faster. It also means, for some of these areas around here that are solid black, I actually have to do 2 or 3 layers of black just to get it to look solid. Otherwise, it looks kind of like a faded gray.
Odessa says hi.
Hi, Odessa.
Lauren J says, have you ever thought about teaching?
Yeah, at some point I did think about that. I think at this point I just have so much stuff that I want to accomplish and create on my own, that I don't know when I would have time to do it. I do like talking art. I mean, this is fun for me. Teaching you guys a little bit about art and technique and stuff like that. Certainly, this is not the only way to do things. This is how I do them. It's not the only way. It's not the best way necessarily. and actually, one of the things that I enjoy about doing the conventions is getting to talk to other artists and kind of see how they do things and learning uh, new little tips and tricks and stuff like that. It can be a lot of fun. And the one thing that's rough about doing the conventions and learning something new is a lot of times you're at the convention and you want to try this new thing right away that you may have learned, and it's rough because you're not anywhere that you can actually do some work.
What kind or model of tablet do you use? Would you recommend it?
Um, so for the longest time, I used Graphire 2 from Wacom or Wacom, however you say it. Um, as I mentioned, I am an extreme creature of habit, and so um, I used the same tablet for probably about 14 years, I think. I did a movie poster contest on DeviantArt for Sweeney Todd. It was sponsored by DreamWorks, and I ended up winning first first place. And one of the prizes was a new tablet, and I didn't like it because it was just not what I was used to. And so I think I ended up selling it or giving it away or something. But I stuck with that same Graphire 2 for forever. And then when I got a new computer, the operating system didn't have drivers for my old tablet. And so I was finally forced to upgrade. But I'm not going to change my stripes that quickly, so I ended up getting something that was pretty similar. And it's the Intuos, it's still Wacom. I got the Intuos small pen or something like that. Um, it it's fine for what I need. So I would recommend it in that sense, but everybody's different in terms of what they need. I have a Cintiq, which is very nice, very fancy. It's one of those ones where you can actually draw on the screen, and it's very nice, but it's not what I'm used to, and also the screen that you have to draw on is a lot smaller than my regular monitor, and so it's just hard getting comfortable with it. So someday I'll get the big, really big monitor, fancy one, but not today.
I googled how to pronounce it.
Okay, how do you pronounce it?
Conceptart.org says, after hearing Wacom for the umpteenth time on YouTube, and it says, as taken from the Urban Dictionary website, Wacom, proper noun indicating the name of the current leading manufacturer and researcher of drawing tablets and tablet technology and other products, says Wacom is actually pronounced Wacom as indicated by their support lines recording, though uneducated people pronounce it Wacom or Wacom, which are just wrong. So the next time you hear someone illiterate schmaggot standing behind you while you paint, say, "Oh, is that a Wacom?" Turn around and whack them in the face.
Ha
ha.
So I guess that means I'm uneducated.
Well, I like the way you did it.
Where what?
You admitted that you weren't sure.
Oh, and I just used them both.
Yeah. So how red can you get his suit? Are you gonna go back in, or is that?
No, that's about as red as I want it to be.
Oh, okay.
I want it to be really muted.
Okay.
Desaturated, I guess, is another term. Yeah, I could get it redder, although then I don't know how much of the shading would show through. Like I said, I've never used the colored pencils on top of it for that. Usually when I use colored pencils, it's just for white highlights. So it's definitely something I should play around with, I guess.
How many conventions do you plan on attending next year?
Well, let's see. After we do Heroes and Villains at the end of November, that'll be the 19th convention that we did this year. I'm gonna guess we're gonna do more than that.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've already signed up for most of the same ones again. So.
Well, we found a few duds in there. I thought maybe we would have few.
Yeah, but just by the fact that there's going to be more heroes and villains than there was this year, that'll probably up the number. And if you're listening to this and you haven't been to a Heroes and Villains, go. Go to one. They're a lot of fun. For everybody. I mean, not just the fans, but I mean, they are the best conventions. And I have a little bit of weight behind that statement since I did 19 conventions this year.
Lauren J wants to know what programs you draw on. It's all the same, right?
Yeah, it's all Photoshop. I tend to use Illustrator only for things like logos. I know that a lot of people think my style looks like vector, but I'm just not comfortable working in Illustrator, so it's not vector.
I thought vector was in Photoshop. Okay, excuse my ignorance.
Well, they actually, since Photoshop has developed, there are certain vector kind of things you can do in Photoshop now, but it's still not. It's not like working in Illustrator.
Okay.
And if you want to know the difference between vector, which is Illustrator, and Photoshop, Photoshop is all pixel based. And so anything really that's done in Photoshop, it's the little dots or the little squares that make up the images. And so when you blow things up or you shrink things down, it's actually altering those pixels. And so um, that's why stuff starts to look blurry when you blow it up, because the computer is kind of guessing and putting in the colors and the pixels to simulate that image growing. Um, Whereas with vector, everything is math based. And so when you do something in vector, you can shrink it, blow it up, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's never going to lose quality. So that's definitely a benefit of doing vector.
So Odessa is asking about whether you do drawings of everyday people, which goes back to how you started doing this.
Yeah.
That's how you started, right, with your team?
Yes. So after I graduated from college, um, I did some portraits of um, some friends. They were still playing baseball after I graduated. I think they're 2 years younger than me, um, and so I did it as a gift. I don't remember exactly what prompted it. Um, and they liked it a lot, and their mother was running a fundraiser for the team, and so they had a silent auction, and um, one of the prizes was um, me drawing a portrait of whoever won, and so everybody that didn't win still liked it, so they all hired me to do one of. It was all mostly parents were hiring me to do portraits of their sons or daughters or whatever else, because it spread pretty quickly. So I had, other sports coming to me, and that's actually where I started Odyssey Art, was doing that. And so, yes, I do draw everyday people. Not a whole lot anymore. Um, I've done wedding portraits. I've done people's pets, uh, but those aren't a whole lot of fun.
Have you worked with other mediums?
I worked with a lot of different mediums in college as part of the curriculum. You have to. Um, and I I've never really enjoyed paint. Although when I was coloring this tonight with the colored pencil, I was thinking to get the same effect, I might use watercolor. Um, so that's something else I might try. Because I didn't mind watercolor in college, but all the other kinds of paints, acrylics, oils, all that kind of stuff is just very messy, and I don't like getting messy. As my wife can attest to, she makes fun of me.
He eats chips with forks.
That was one time. Jeez. Do something once and you get reminded of it forever. What else did I use in college? Oh, actually, I I have some oil pastels. I actually used some of the white along his shoulders. There's some oil pastels that I broke out that I still have from college. Charcoal. I use charcoal and chalk. And although, if you want to see someone blow your mind with chalk, check out the Chalk Girl. She's got a Facebook page. She's amazing. She does these huge portraits. When she's at a convention, she does a different image each day, and they're just amazing.
Isn't it like a mural almost?
Yes, yeah. I don't remember the measurements. I want to say they're like 6 feet by 8 feet or something like that. She draws them on the ground.
Yeah.
And then, which hurts my body just thinking about it. But they're just amazing. So go check her out.
Kyle says you're too kind, Brian.
Oh, is that Mr. Chalk Girl?
Tobias?
Yeah, that's
Yes, you're saying yes. Jerry wants to know about your process, what you go through when you get an idea.
Ah, yes. You asked this last time and we missed it, and I asked you to say it again. So thank you, Jerry. So the first thing I need to do when I come up with an idea is reference. It's that determines a lot. I have an idea in my head, but translating that and coming up with the reference to execute that idea is a big step, because you have to, is it a character that exists, first of all? If so, you're going to go to Google first. For instance, Daredevil, I'm going to go online and I'm going to find as many images as I can of Daredevil, so that I can get a good idea of his costume. It's very helpful. I don't really like drawing things I'm not familiar with. I feel like, and I felt this way when I was at my old job too. We created licensed merchandise at my old job, and I didn't like working with properties that I wasn't familiar with, because I feel like fans are gonna know if you like it or not. I mean, you can look at reference, but to have an idea of what actually happens in the show or movie or whatever is really important, I think, just so that stuff comes out more authentic. But anyway, back to your question. So that's the first step, is really figuring out what kind of reference is available. One of the other things that I like to do, or don't like to do, I don't like just taking an image that everyone is necessarily familiar with and drawing it. I don't like people to look at something and say, "Oh, I know what photo you took that from." And so I either try to find something that's a little more obscure, which can be rough because if the quality of the reference isn't very good, then it's a lot harder to draw. I mean, it helps to know what you're drawing in terms of, um, you know, you look at that. Okay, those are straps. Well, if the reference is small and blurry, you might not know those are straps. You might think he's got suspenders on or something, and it's just not going to be. It's not going to translate well. But one of the other things besides obscure that I like to do is what a lot of artists call the Frankenstein method, where you take a bunch of reference images and Frankenstein them together to create kind of what you want. This Daredevil is actually a good example of that. I think I used 2 or 3 different photos to get to this. I really liked the smirk that he had on a different photo. It was actually just Matt Murdock without the costume on. But I really liked the expression because I felt like it perfectly captured his attitude from especially the first season when he was going around just getting his butt whooped. And so I took that and I used a different photo for the shoulders, and then I used a third photo for the head. And that's why, if you look around, you're probably not going to find this as just one photo. A while back, I posted an image. I did a poster for Code 8, which is Stephen and Robbie Amell's Indiegogo film, and I posted an image of all the reference that I used to create the image of Robbie, and I think it was like 10 different photos for just one pose.
So do we have Daredevil fans watching right now? Don't everybody answer at once. I'm glad that you, Brian, got me into it. I still have to put my, cover my eyes or my ears sometimes. The violence is a bit much for me. Yeah. But I think it's a really well done show. we need some beatbox in between questions.
No, the baby's in bed. I saved that just for him.
Jessica Jones is really good too, Anne's saying.
Yes, it is. And we have not gotten a chance to watch Luke Cage, but I really liked the character of Luke in... well, I like him in the comics, but I really liked him in Jessica Jones.
So, have you ever run into any issues using copyrighted characters and selling them?
No, although that is definitely a question I get a lot. definitely a tricky one. I personally feel like we're giving these companies free advertising, all the artists that do these. Um, and you know, the money that we're making from selling prints of these characters is a drop in the bucket compared to what the companies are making. Um, I also know that when the time comes and I have my own characters out there, I will be excited to see other people doing them, drawing fan art of my characters. Um, but yeah, it's definitely it's an uncomfortable question and an uncomfortable situation.
Jeff is saying he loves Daredevil, and he's mentioning the Defenders. Says it should be a good subject matter for you.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm looking forward to Iron Fists as well. So
We have too many shows right now.
I know.
Too many shows. It's hard to get them in.
Now this is an oil pastel, white. I'm just gonna go in and oops, I forgot a little bit of blue.
We're on a time lag here, so I see you drawing and I don't hear it. Sometimes I hear you and I don't see it.
Oh.
It's very odd. So Adam is asking, which I could probably answer for you.
Okay.
Is drawing with the Sharpie / markers harder than other tools or preferred?
I prefer it just because I like solid color. When I used to draw in high school, I did a lot of the blending, shading kind of work. So it's not that I can't do that. It's just that I don't like to do that. The one part of the markers that I don't like is that they bleed, and so it can be hard to get precise.
I'm being asked if I draw, and I do not currently. I think maybe when I was in high school, I used to look at the, whatever it was, Cosmo or whatever, and they had those little things, can you draw me? And, you would send in, and I don't remember what it was. It was maybe for a contest, or maybe it was for an art school or something like that. And I tried that. there was definitely an interest, and I took art in high school, and I probably should have taken some art classes
Whoops.
in college. What happened?
The point broke. See, I pressed too hard.
Oh, okay, yeah, Anne remembers those. Yeah. So the back of the magazine with all those little tiny black and white ads, yep. And I think I was okay at drawing them, and I was okay at some things. Like I could draw my own hand decently, but drawing a face was terrible. I I really enjoyed photography. I took photography in high school, and I really wish I would spend more time on that. But I also got into music too. So my interests are all over the place, and I never settled on one. So do you have a favorite Daredevil? I want to say scene, but I don't know if that's too specific.
Well, in the Netflix show, anything that has Kingpin in it's great. He was Vincent D'Onofrio was unbelievable in that.
Odessa said she has a cousin who's in elementary school and sent one of those can you draw me pictures in, and they accepted him for art school, but he was too young. He was in elementary school. That's funny. I like that. Would you say the stunts on Daredevil remind you of anything you've seen? Because Anne says it reminds her of Arrow.
Yes, it reminds me of Arrow, although because it's Netflix, it's a lot more intense. um, they, man, some of those scenes that they do in one take are just ridiculous. You know, the first season, you know, everybody was talking about the hallway fight where it just kept going and it was all just one take. And then season 2 was the stairway fight. And again, it was just all one take. It was crazy. I think that the Arrow stunt crew could definitely do those, but not on network television. They can't.
Yeah, she's the stairwell fight. I think she's concurring with you. We have a question about Walking Dead. If you would do any more.
You know, I go back to what I was saying before, and that I don't watch it, so I'm not familiar with it, and it's really hard for me to do stuff that I'm not familiar with. You know, not that I wouldn't, but it's just there's so much stuff I do watch that I want to draw, that it would just be really hard.
Time check. It's 8:50.
Oh my god, already? I didn't even do his mouth.
I know, that's why I'm telling you. Apparently, Luke Cage has a great hallway fight.
Oh, cool.
But we haven't seen any yet, so no spoilers.
So this is one of those things that I was saying about the papers. I have to go back in and redo all the black. And unfortunately, I forgot that I had to do this. And so I put the colored pencil over the marker already, and I'm not sure that this marker is going to show up on top of the colored pencil. But we're going to find out.
I agree, and it is amazing how the red on his headgear brings it to life.
It looks like it might be okay.
Jeff says, you mentioned coming to the older Comic Cons and going to see the artists there. Which artist is or was your favorite?
Well, Jim Lee is probably the one that really got me into comics. I saw his X-Men #1 on newsstands and was just blown away. And I actually told him this. I met him at a party and had probably my biggest fanboy moment. There's a picture someplace of me and him, and it's pretty embarrassing. I have like the goofiest look on my face because I'm so excited to meet him.
Where's this?
It was at an after party at Wizard World Chicago.
Okay.
And I told him that his work on X-Men got me into comics, and he was like, "Oh, thanks for making me feel old." But I mean, back in high school, I was into Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and basically all the guys that left to form Image. And then in college, I really liked Joe Madureira and Ed McGuinness. And then I discovered Mark Brooks and God, there's so many guys, and then that's all comic artists. That doesn't even uh, start to mention guys like Drew Struzan and Mark Ratz and Jason Palmer and um, yeah, Peter Mahoney, yeah, um, Craig Deeks, all these guys that, uh, well, not all of them, but a lot of them that I'm fortunate to call friends now. Um, and some of these guys are the ones that I was talking about before, where you can just sit and talk art with them for hours and you know, feel like they're giving a master class. It's just amazing. I mean, honestly, there's so many artists out there that I admire and look up to, and I like all different styles. I like uh, seeing people's different takes on the same subject matter. It's and with social media the way it is now, it's a great time to be a fan of art because it's so easily accessible.
I'd like to take a poll. Who here has heard of Twitch?
Anyone? Anyone? Bueller?
And I'm not talking about the dancer or the guy on Ellen.
There's a comic book character named Twitch.
Is there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's from Spawn. He actually, they had a spin-off that he was in. He's a police detective. He and his partner.
Lauren J says she has. Have you ever watched anybody live on Twitch? I'm laughing at Anne. Anne's awesome. She was thinking about the guy on Ellen.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, he's the. I think he might be the same. I think it's the dancer, if I'm not mistaken. It's they're one and the same, and he is the DJ.
Oh.
So, he's on air a lot.
So I guess basically I'm not going to finish this live.
Well, how much longer would you need to finish?
I really just need to do his face. Are you okay? Keep going?
No, I know you have, no, I mean, like, is it going to take half an hour, or is it going to take 10 minutes, or?
Maybe half an hour. I'm guessing by that noise you don't want to do it.
A big day tomorrow.
What? How many times does your son have their first birthday party? This is art we're talking about.
Jeff, what are you saying? Sam and Twitch?
Sam and Twitch. Yep, that's it.
What?
That's the comic.
Oh. Okay.
The spin-off from Spawn.
Okay.
I couldn't think. Funny, I couldn't think of Sam's name.
Why?
Because that's the much more common name.
Oh. Well, that's why it's forgettable.
Yeah, maybe.
The B-Day party theme.
Cake.
Well, I didn't get too much stuff. It's just, there's going to be really small. I mean, there's going to be 8 of us, I think. And so it's really just like, a little bit of Disney, like a little bit of Mickey. And we got little, what are those little caps called from Disney? We got one of those little caps. It's a blue cap with the ears. And
Sorcerer's Apprentice?
No.
No?
No, you know, like the Mickey ears.
Oh.
That cap. And then there's a, like a little party cap. Oh, happy birthday to Odessa's mom. She turns 84.
Whoa!
Aiden turns 1 on the 3rd, but we will be away. So tomorrow we are celebrating his birthday with my family, and then we'll be with my in-laws, Brian's parents, next week. Hopefully in warm weather in Florida. Oh, thank you, Odessa. I have to agree that Aiden is adorable.
Except when he doesn't want to go down for his naps.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, we did get a cake in case he wants to smash it. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't, so that we can eat it.
I agree.
I have a feeling he's just gonna smush around the whipped cream on top, and that's okay with me.
I don't know. Nobody knows where his hands have been.
Oh, hi, Kim Merville. I remember you. Constantine. Big fan. She says, wow, that is totally awesome, Brian. And I'm guessing she's talking about your drawing right now.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
Anne says, smashing the cake would be messy, Brian. Yes, and he does not like messy.
Well, not just I don't like messy, but in that case, I don't like wasted cake.
Yeah, that would be, what do you call that, cake abuse?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I'm gonna, if he only goes for the whipped cream, I'm gonna salvage the cake. I'm gonna add some fresh whipped cream to it, and then we'll share it. And then I'm also making brownies in the morning, in case he does smash it. Either way, we'll get video and we'll post it. Anne could go for some brownies right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like them cake-like or do you like them fudge-like? That's the question. But we're digressing. Odessa likes it fudge-like. Yes, me too. If I want cake, I'm going to eat cake. Fudge-like, dark chocolate preferred. I don't think I've had a dark chocolate brownie before. I saw it on the shelf today.
So here's something you don't think about. When you're setting up your drawing space, make sure that your bright light is on your non-drawing side. Because one of the things I've found in working in this space is that drawing with my right hand and having the light over my right shoulder is creating shadow.
Right.
And I have trouble seeing what I'm doing. So next time we set up a studio.
Lawrence's Ghirardelli makes really good brownies. I'll have to try it.
I think didn't I have like their brownie sundae when we were in Florida?
I don't remember. If it was an option, then you did.
Yeah, I'm kind of predictable that way.
Anne says, Brian's drawing a mouse. We might as well be talking about eating. All right, well then I'll tell you what the cake is. I ordered yellow cake with chocolate frosting for the filling and just regular whipped cream because Aiden has not experimented too much with sweets. So I didn't want him to have sugar overload. So is this smirk? This is the one that you did before, right? Mm-hmm. I love that smirk.
So again, I don't want his face to look as shiny, so I'm actually doing more shades. I had a base layer of French gray 10%. The first shade I put down was 20%. Now this is 30%. And I'll just keep doing that until I'm up to 90. So this is 40%.
Can anyone update us on the World Series? Okay, I will update you. Top of the fourth, 1-1.
Mm.
Oh no, 0. Sorry, I got that wrong. I'm looking at the series is tied 1-1. There's no score.
Thank you.
Jeff, he usually listens to music. Sometimes he listens to podcasts. He rarely works with quiet unless I ask for silence, which occasionally I need. Lauren is thanking you for doing the videos. She loves seeing the process. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, too. This is hopefully something we can do on a somewhat regular basis. Although the next one probably won't be until December. As Katie mentioned, we're going to be away. And then when I get back, I have to go to Atlanta for Heroes and Villains.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, then Thanksgiving.
Who do you want to win the World Series?
Well, I'm a Yankee fan, which I know is going to upset Ann. But I'm also a baseball fan, and I think it's pretty awesome that no matter who wins, it's going to be historic because these two teams haven't won in forever. I don't know. I'm an American League guy, and I really like Andrew Miller. He was. I know that the Yankees had to trade him to kind of get better for the future, but it was hard to see him go. And I have a lot of respect for Terry Francona. And I like the fact that the Indians beat the Blue Jays, which I know is also going to upset some people in the listening crowd. But, yeah, so that's, I guess, the Indians. I guess if I had to pick, it'd be the Indians.
I thought you already chose.
I don't know. I really don't.
Last week it was the Cubbies.
Yeah.
Odessa's pulling for the Cubs. How dare you not like baseball, Odessa? I'm just kidding. I like the game of baseball, but the speed, the pace of it is a little bit off for me.
It's a thinking man's game.
It's a little bit it's a little bit slow, so then it doesn't hold my attention.
And then you're always like, wait, what just happened?
And then I look back and all this stuff has just happened, and I'm like, wait, what? How did all that just happen? Yes, I agree. She says, I like going to the actual games, the whole ballpark experience, but watching on TV, unless it's a big game, is... Yes, there is a smirk. I'm guessing you're gonna make it pop more.
Yeah, it'll pop more once I finally get all the shades in here. That was only 60%. I still have 70, 80, and 90. And black if I need it.
Do you have any big plans in the works?
Other than my book?
Well, I would say it depends on your definition of big.
Yeah, what's the definition of big?
Well, I'm thinking about our possible plans for January.
Okay.
Possibly rolling out a new feature.
Yes.
Can I say?
Sure.
So we're thinking about doing a club, like a subscription, and getting perks and stuff like that. And we're not sure how it's gonna go. We're gonna talk about it over the winter when there's, a lull from cons. And I think a lot of the loyal customers are gonna really like it. 2 thumbs up from Jerry. How's the book coming along?
It was coming along very well until my tablet broke. Although the pages I'm working on right now, I can't share because they're very spoilerific. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun working on that.
So is it actually broken?
Well, it's not turning on.
That's not good.
No.
Jeff, what's the 4 thumbs up for? Yeah, technology is great when it's working. So, what is everyone doing for Halloween, or are you dressing up? What are you dressing up as? I'm curious to know. Aiden is going to be a duck. And hopefully he's going to be in a parade. My parents' hometown parade. And we are actually traveling on Halloween. So instead of putting him in a crazy costume, we got him a skeleton top and bottom. So hopefully he'll be comfortable while we're traveling. Jerry says I will probably be stuck doing homework, but I would like to dress up as 10th Doctor Who. Lauren J says alien and abducted victim. Jeff says Kevin Smith. What was gonna be your other costume, Jeff? Jerry, I will definitely post the pictures. Jeff's little guy is going as the vampire bat. Yes, I think I saw a little taste of that. And he is too cute. Hi, Irene. I see you.
Does anyone have a dark red marker I can borrow?
And the shading is amazing.
Thank you.
Keep the noise down, Brian.
Yeah.
Jeff says, I was going to upgrade my Obi-Wan Kenobi costume for this year, but didn't have the chance. I have a Kevin Smith jersey, so going to wear that. Grew out a beard and got my baseball cap and hair color spray ready. Oh, thanks, Ann. I really want to go to Atlanta. Ann says going to miss seeing you in Atlanta. I really wish I could be there. I've told Brian that several times. Last time we left Aiden, I came home and he looked at me like I was a stranger. It's very upsetting. Jeff gave you a virtual red marker.
Thanks, Jeff. I figured it out, though. Wow!
What happened?
Nothing. It's all good.
Oh. I just saw it.
All right, kids. There you go. Finished on air.
Yay!
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and your questions and food talk that makes me really hungry.
Thanks, guys.
And I will... before I forget, November 9th, the contest for the last alter ego in Series 2 is going live. And again, if you missed it last time, I mentioned we're going to be giving away 7 total alter egos if you guess this one. So that's, you get the new one and then you get 6 previous ones. So make sure you get your guesses in, and I can't wait to see who gets it.
And good luck, you're going to need it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Bye.